Most people remember Broken Arrow as a groundbreaking Western that portrayed Native Americans with dignity, but few know that its Syrian-born star convinced audiences he was Apache. The studio orchestrated a real-life romance between co-stars, or that legendary director Sam Peckinpah cut his teeth on the show. Here are the 15 weird facts you didn't know about Broken Arrow. Fact 1. Ricardo Montalban originally played Cochise. When Broken Arrow made its television debut on May 2, 1956, viewers tuning into the 20th Century Fox Hour saw something unexpected. The pilot episode featured Ricardo Montalban as the legendary Apache chief Cochise, not Michael Ansara, who would become synonymous with the role. Montalban, already an established Hollywood star, brought his considerable acting talents to the character in this hour-long special that served as a test run for the potential series. The pilot followed the same basic storyline as the 1950 film, depicting how Tom Jeffords, played by John Lupton in both the pilot and the series, forges an unlikely friendship with Cochise and even marries an Apache woman named Sonsiere. Montalban's performance was well received, and the chemistry between him and Lupton seemed promising for a continuing series. However, when 20th Century Fox decided to move forward with Broken Arrow as a regular weekly program, Montalban made a crucial decision. He simply didn't want to commit to the demanding schedule of a television series, which would have required filming 30-minute episodes week after week for months at a time. This opened the door for Michael Ansara, a relatively unknown actor at the time, who auditioned for the role. After a successful screen test with the studio, Ansara was cast as Cochise for the series that premiered in September of 1956. While Montalban went on to achieve fame in other roles, including his iconic turn as Mr. Rourke on Fantasy Island, it was Ansara who would become forever identified with Cochise in the minds of television audiences. Fact 2. Syrian actor fooled everyone as Apache. One of the most remarkable aspects of Broken Arrow's success was how thoroughly Michael Ansara convinced audiences that he was actually Native American. Born in a small village in Syria in 1922, Ansara emigrated to the United States with his American parents when he was just 2 years old. His family first settled in Lowell, Massachusetts, before eventually moving to California when he was 10. Despite this Middle Eastern heritage, Ansara's naturally dark features, deep voice, and commanding presence made him a perfect fit for playing Native American characters throughout his career. Many viewers of Broken Arrow genuinely believed Ansara was Apache, partly because of his somewhat exotic-sounding name, which had an almost indigenous quality to it. The confusion was so widespread that it became a common misconception during the show's original run. In reality, Ansara's parents were American citizens, but of Lebanese and Syrian descent, with no connection to Egypt, despite early Hollywood publicity that sometimes identified him as Egyptian. Originally, Ansara had planned to become a physician, but he developed a passion for acting after taking classes at the Pasadena Playhouse to overcome his shyness. His ethnic appearance led to early typecasting in Arabic roles, but after impressing Warner Brothers in a Pasadena production, he was cast in the film Only the Valiant in 1951, which launched his career playing Native American characters. The irony wasn't lost on Ansara himself, who understood that his Middle Eastern heritage was actually helping him portray a completely different culture on screen, yet he approached the role of Cochise with dignity and respect. Fact 3. Studio arranged a real romance. In 1957, while Michael Ansara was starring in Broken Arrow and becoming a household name, the 20th Century Fox publicity department hatched a plan they hoped would generate some Hollywood buzz. Studio publicist Booker McClay approached a rising young actress named Barbara Eden, who was starring in the television series How to Marry a Millionaire, with a proposition. Eden had been dating a working-class man named Tony, but McClay insisted that as she was becoming a bigger star, she needed a Hollywood boyfriend for her public image. The studio wanted to arrange a date between Eden and their television star, Ansara, hoping photographers would capture them together for the society pages. Eden agreed, somewhat reluctantly, and the couple was scheduled to have dinner together before attending a Halloween party where all the important Hollywood people would be. However, something unexpected happened during that first arranged date. From the moment Eden and Ansara sat down to dinner, they couldn't stop talking to each other. The chemistry was so strong and the conversation so engrossing that they never made it to the Halloween party at all. What started as a publicity stunt quickly blossomed into a genuine romance. Just a few months after their first date, Ansara showed up on the set of Eden's show carrying what looked like a paper bag full of candy. When Eden, who had a well-known sweet tooth, reached into the bag looking for a snack, she instead found an engagement ring. The couple married in 1958 and remained together for 16 years, having a son named Matthew. Their relationship became one of Hollywood's more enduring marriages of that era. Fact 4. John Lupton wore James Stewart's movie costume. The television version of Broken Arrow maintained a direct physical connection to the 1950 film that inspired it. And nowhere was this more evident than in the wardrobe department. When the pilot episode was filmed for the 20th Century Fox Hour in 1956, the production team made a deliberate decision to create visual continuity with the successful theatrical film. John Lupton, who played the role of Indian agent Tom Jeffords, was given the actual costume that James Stewart had worn when he portrayed the same character 6 years earlier. This wasn't just a similar outfit or a replica made to match the movie's style, but the genuine article worn by one of Hollywood's biggest stars. The costume helped establish an immediate visual link for audiences who remembered the film, suggesting that this was the same Tom Jeffords continuing his adventures with Cochise. The pilot also incorporated stock footage from the 1950 movie, blending scenes from the original film with newly shot material. This practice of reusing the movie costume continued into the regular series, with Lupton wearing Stewart's outfit throughout the show's run. The decision served both practical and symbolic purposes. From a budget standpoint, reusing an existing costume saved money for the relatively low-budget television production. Symbolically, it reinforced that this television series was a legitimate continuation of the story audiences had loved in theaters. Stewart himself had transformed his image with the original Broken Arrow, moving away from his earlier A.W. Shucks persona to play a tougher, more determined Western hero. And Lupton inherited not just the costume, but also the challenge of following in those very large footsteps. Fact 5. Sam Peckinpah's first directing job. Long before Sam Peckinpah became known as Bloody Sam, the legendary director behind The Wild Bunch and other ultra-violent revisionist westerns, he was learning his craft on television westerns of the 1950s. Peckinpah worked as a scriptwriter for several popular series, including Gunsmoke, Have Gun Will Travel, and The Rifleman, but it was Broken Arrow that gave him his first opportunity to sit in the director's chair. In 1958, Peckinpah directed an episode titled The Transfer, which marked his first official directing job on television. The episode dealt with Jeffords being reassigned to work with the Ute tribe, while his replacement proves to be insensitive and bureaucratic, threatening the peace Jeffords had worked so hard to establish. Even in this early work, some of Peckinpah's later themes about the changing West and conflicts between different cultures were beginning to emerge. Beyond directing, Peckinpah also contributed to Broken Arrow as a writer, penning the teleplays for several episodes during 1957 and 1958. His involvement with the series came through a recommendation from director Don Siegel, who Peckinpah had worked with as an assistant and dialogue director on films like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. The experience on Broken Arrow helped Peckinpah develop his skills in visual storytelling and working with actors before he moved on to create his own series, The Westerner, and eventually transitioned to feature films. His time on the show was part of an apprenticeship that would lead to some of the most influential westerns ever made. Fact 6. The series was renamed in syndication after Broken Arrow completed its original network run on ABC. The show entered the world of syndication, where local television stations could purchase the rights to air reruns. However, viewers who encountered the show in this second life saw a different title on their screens. The series was retitled simply Cochise when it went into syndication, a change that fundamentally shifted how the show was marketed and perceived. Instead of emphasizing the Broken Arrow symbol, which represented peace, friendship, and understanding between white settlers and Native Americans, the new title placed the focus squarely on Michael Ansara's Apache chief character. This decision reflected the reality that Cochise had become the show's breakout character and most memorable element. While John Lupton's Tom Jeffords was technically the series lead and appeared in every episode, It was Ansara's portrayal of the dignified and wise Apache leader that captured viewers' imaginations. The syndication title change also made practical sense from a marketing standpoint. Cochise was a name that immediately communicated what the show was about, whereas Broken Arrow might have confused potential viewers unfamiliar with its symbolic meaning. The retitling also acknowledged that the series had made Cochise a household name during its original run, with Ansara's performance elevating a historical figure into a television icon. This practice of retitling shows for syndication was not uncommon in early television, as distributors sought ways to make programs stand out in an increasingly crowded marketplace. The name change endured for years, meaning that many younger viewers who discovered the show in reruns knew it only as Cochise, never realizing its original title had been Broken Arrow. Fact 7. Ansara found the role too easy. Despite receiving critical acclaim for his portrayal of Cochise and becoming a television star because of the role, Michael Ansara harbored private frustrations about the character's limitations. In a candid interview with TV Guide magazine in 1960, 2 years after the series ended, Ansara revealed his true feelings about playing the Apache chief. He explained that Cochise was not a particularly challenging role from an acting standpoint, saying, quote, "Cochise could do one of two things: stand with his arms folded, looking noble, or stand with arms at his sides, looking noble," end quote. This blunt assessment highlighted a genuine problem with how the character was written. While the show deserved credit for portraying Native Americans as dignified human beings rather than savage villains, the writers often fell into a different stereotype by making Cochise almost superhuman in his wisdom and composure. The character rarely showed vulnerability, anger, or complex emotions that would have given Ansara more to work with. As an actor, he was frequently required to simply stand stoically while delivering sage advice or making pronouncements about honor and justice. This limited range meant that Ansara, who was actually a skilled and versatile performer, felt somewhat trapped in the role that had made him famous. The character's noble bearing, while positive representation, didn't allow for the kind of nuanced, dramatic work that Ansara would have preferred. His honesty about these limitations was unusual for the time, when actors typically avoided criticizing their most famous roles. However, Ansara's comments also reflected a deeper understanding that portraying Native Americans with full humanity meant showing them as complete people with the same range of emotions and complexity as any other character. Fact 8. Rita Moreno played Jefford's doomed wife. The pilot episode of Broken Arrow featured a significant storyline that was never revisited in the regular series, and it starred a young actress who would go on to become one of the few performers to achieve EGOT status, winning an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. Rita Moreno appeared in the May 2, 1956 pilot as Sonsiare, a beautiful Apache woman who captures the heart of Tom Jeffords. The pilot followed the same tragic arc as the 1950 film, showing how Jeffords and Sonsiare fall in love and marry, crossing the cultural divide between white settlers and the Apache people. However, their happiness is short-lived. Sonsiare is murdered by a racist white man who opposes the peace between the two communities. Her death becomes the catalyst that drives Jeffords to dedicate himself even more strongly to achieving lasting peace between whites and Native Americans, vowing to make sure her sacrifice was not in vain. This powerful dramatic storyline worked well for the self-contained pilot movie, but when Broken Arrow was picked up as a regular weekly series, the producers made a crucial decision. They chose not to continue with Jeffords as a widower, still mourning his Apache wife. Instead, the regular series essentially reset the premise, with Jeffords as an unmarried Indian agent whose friendship with Cochise was the central relationship. This meant that Moreno's appearance and the entire marriage storyline existed only in that pilot episode, never to be referenced again. The decision was likely practical, allowing the series more flexibility in storytelling without being tied to the tragic backstory, but it also erased what had been one of the most emotionally resonant elements of the original story. Fact 9. Robert Blake made uncredited appearances. Years before he became famous as the street-smart detective Tony Beretta in the 1970s television series Beretta, and decades before his controversial later life, Robert Blake worked as a young actor in Hollywood, taking whatever roles he could get. In the pilot episode of Broken Arrow, which aired in May of 1956, Blake, appeared as a young Apache warrior in a small, uncredited role. At the beginning of the episode, Tom Jeffords encounters this young Apache, and the brief scene helps establish the tension and mistrust between whites and Native Americans that the story would work to overcome. Blake's appearance went uncredited, meaning his name didn't appear in the opening or closing titles, which was common practice for smaller roles in 1950s television. However, this wasn't Blake's only connection to Broken Arrow. He returned to appear in additional episodes of the series during its regular run, again playing young Apache characters, including roles identified as Viklai and Machoji in different episodes. These appearances were part of Blake's steady work during the 1950s and early 1960s, when he frequently played ethnic characters and appeared in numerous westerns. Blake had actually started in show business as a child actor, appearing in the Our Gang comedies, but as he grew into a young adult, he had to rebuild his career with supporting roles in television. His work on Broken Arrow was typical of this period, taking small parts that helped him develop his craft while paying the bills. The fact that a future television star made multiple appearances on the show, mostly in uncredited roles, illustrates how Broken Arrow served as a training ground for numerous actors who would later achieve greater fame. Fact 10. Tom Fadden appeared in 70 episodes. While John Lupton and Michael Ansara were the stars of Broken Arrow, another actor became the unsung backbone of the series through his remarkable consistency. Tom Fadden, a character actor with decades of experience on stage and screen, played the recurring role of Duffield in an astounding 70 out of the 72 total episodes produced during the show's two-season run. This meant that Fadden appeared in virtually every episode of the series, making him as much a regular cast member as the two leads, even though he was rarely featured in the main publicity or opening credits. Duffield was written as Tom Jeffords' friend and confidant, providing a connection to the white settler community and often serving as a sounding board for Jeffords' ideas about peace with the Apache. Fadden brought a lifetime of experience to this role. Born in Iowa in 1895, he had made his Broadway debut in 1924 and appeared in almost 24 productions on The Great White Way, including original productions of classics like The Petrified Forest and Our Town. His film career included memorable small roles in beloved movies like It's a Wonderful Life, where he played the toll house keeper on the bridge, and Destry Rides Again with Marlene Dietrich and James Stewart. By the time he joined Broken Arrow, Fadden had perfected the art of playing rustic, everyday characters who provided authenticity and grounding to whatever production he appeared in. His near-perfect attendance record on the show, missing only 2 episodes, demonstrated the kind of professional reliability that made him invaluable to television producers. Fadden continued working in television throughout the 1960s and 70s before his death in 1980. Fact 11. The show used real Western filming locations. Broken Arrow took advantage of some of Southern California and Arizona's most iconic Western filming locations, places that had already appeared in dozens of movies and would continue to serve as backdrops for countless westerns, science fiction shows, and adventure series for decades to come. The primary filming took place at 20th Century Fox Studios, where interior scenes and the main western street sets were located. But when the production needed outdoor locations that could convincingly portray the Arizona territory of the 1870s, they turned to several legendary sites. Vasquez Rocks, located in Agua Dulce, California, was a frequent location for the series. These distinctive angled rock formations, named after the 19th century bandit Tiburcio Vasquez, who supposedly used them as a hideout, have appeared in everything from Star Trek to the Flintstones. The Fox Ranch in Malibu Canyon provided another important location, offering varied terrain that could be dressed to represent different types of western landscapes. Walker Ranch, located in Placerita Canyon near Newhall, California, was also used regularly, particularly for scenes requiring open spaces or specific geographical features. Some episodes were also filmed at Apache Land Studios in Gold Canyon, Arizona, which added authentic desert locations actually within Apache territory. These filming locations were chosen not just for their visual appeal, but for their proximity to Los Angeles, which kept production costs manageable. Each location had been used in major Western films before Broken Arrow and would be used in countless productions afterward, making them part of the shared visual language of the Western genre that audiences came to recognize, even if they didn't consciously notice they were seeing the same rocks and hills in different shows. Fact 12. General Electric was the sponsor. Broken Arrow was part of an important era in television history when single sponsors underwrote entire programs, and the show carried the support of one of America's most powerful corporations. General Electric's appliance and television receiver division sponsored the series, making it part of GE's broader strategy to market their products during the 1950s television boom. This sponsorship arrangement was typical of early television, where companies like General Electric, Texaco, and Kraft Foods would fund entire programs rather than simply purchasing commercial time, as became standard later. Having General Electric as the sponsor meant that commercial breaks during Broken Arrow would feature advertisements for GE refrigerators, washing machines, ranges, and of course, television sets. The irony of a television manufacturer sponsoring programming that encouraged people to buy their televisions was not lost on the executives who approved the arrangement. This sponsorship model gave companies significant influence over programming content, though there's no evidence that General Electric interfered with the creative direction of Broken Arrow. The sponsor's support was crucial for the show's existence, as it provided the funding needed to produce the series. For General Electric, sponsoring a Western during the height of the genre's popularity was sound business strategy. Westerns dominated television in the late 1950s, and aligning the GE brand with a quality program that portrayed positive values like friendship, understanding, and tolerance could only enhance the company's image. The association between the corporate sponsor and the television program was so strong that viewers of the era would have immediately recognized Broken Arrow as a General Electric presentation. Fact 13. It competed against game shows. When Broken Arrow premiered in September of 1956, it faced an unusual competitive landscape that illustrates how different television programming was during that era. The show aired on ABC on Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, which placed it in direct competition with two very different types of programs on the other networks. Over on CBS, viewers could watch To Tell the Truth, the panel game show where celebrity panelists tried to identify which of three contestants was telling the truth about their unusual occupation or experience. Meanwhile, NBC offered Dato, another game show where contestants connected dots to reveal pictures while answering questions. The fact that a dramatic Western series was competing directly against two game shows highlighted the wide variety of programming strategies networks employed during television's early years. Rather than trying to counter-program with similar genre offerings, the networks scheduled whatever they believed would attract their target audiences, regardless of whether it matched what competitors were airing. This created an interesting viewing choice for families on Tuesday nights, as they had to decide between an action-adventure Western with serious themes about cultural understanding and tolerance, or lighter entertainment in the form of quiz shows. The competition from these game shows likely didn't hurt Broken Arrow significantly, as the programs appealed to somewhat different audiences. Viewers seeking dramatic storytelling would choose the Western, while those wanting lighter, shorter-form entertainment could opt for the game shows. However, the scheduling situation did become more complicated when ABC moved Broken Arrow to Sunday nights midway through its second season, possibly in an attempt to find a time slot where it faced less competition. Fact 14. Audience demanded its return. The cancellation of Broken Arrow after 2 seasons in 1958 didn't mark the end of the show's presence on television, thanks to an unusually passionate response from viewers who weren't ready to say goodbye to Tom Jeffords and Cochise. When ABC decided not to renew the series for a 3rd season, letters poured in from fans demanding that the network bring the show back. This viewer response was strong enough that ABC made an unusual decision for that era. Instead of producing new episodes, which would have required significant investment in cast, crew, and production costs, the network chose to bring back the existing episodes as reruns. During the 1959 to 1960 season, ABC began airing repeat episodes of Broken Arrow on Sunday afternoons, giving fans a chance to revisit their favorite stories. The response to these afternoon reruns was positive enough that ABC took another step. In the summer of 1960, the network moved Broken Arrow reruns back into prime time, airing them on Sunday evenings during the summer months when networks typically filled their schedules with repeats while regular series were on hiatus. This meant that Broken Arrow had a television presence for 2 full years after the final new episode was produced, an unusual longevity for a canceled series in that era. The audience demand that brought Broken Arrow back demonstrated that the show had created a loyal following who appreciated its groundbreaking portrayal of Native Americans and the friendship between its 2 lead characters. Today, when canceled shows routinely find new life through streaming services or social media campaigns, it's easy to forget that audience activism to save television programs actually has roots going back to the earliest days of the medium. Fact 15. Eden or Ansara's Gift on I Dream of Jeannie. When Barbara Eden began starring in I Dream of Jeannie in 1965, 7 years after marrying Michael Ansara, she made a personal choice that connected her breakthrough role to her private life in a way that few viewers ever noticed. In every single episode of the sitcom that would make her a television icon, Eden wore a diamond pendant necklace that Ansara had given her during their marriage. The necklace became part of Jeannie's signature costume, visible beneath the character's famous pink harem outfit with its crop top and sheer veil. Eden later revealed in her 2011 autobiography that she wore the pendant deliberately to keep Michael close to her heart, even as their careers were taking them in very different directions. By the time I Dream of Jeannie premiered, Eden was becoming a major television star, while Ansara's work had slowed considerably. This shift in their professional fortunes created tension in their relationship. Ansara found himself being typecast and struggling to find substantial roles, while Eden's schedule kept her constantly busy with the demands of carrying a network sitcom. The strain this put on their marriage was something Eden tried to counter symbolically by wearing Ansara's gift in every episode. The necklace served as a private reminder of their bond during a time when they were seeing less of each other and dealing with the complicated dynamics of having such different levels of career success. Unfortunately, the pendant couldn't save their marriage. The couple divorced in 1974 after 16 years together, with Eden later acknowledging that the divergence in their careers and earning power, combined with the loss of their second child through miscarriage, had created insurmountable problems. Still, for those 5 years that I Dream of Jeannie aired, the diamond necklace remained visible in every episode, a hidden connection between Eden's most famous role and her first husband.